having declared herself an independent country on August the 15th of the Gregorian year 1947, India is celebrating her 75th Independence Day today. I received greetings which emphatically show the expression happy Independence Day. No doubt I remain grateful to all those who sent me such benevolent greetings. But can I say I am happy today, even on the 75th independence anniversary of my country? If I could, I would be anything but a humane human being, deprived of humanity as a whole. Early news broadcast inter alia by the BBC World Service revealed the fact that at least 200 people died this morning in Haiti. Many people died during the war, even during the past few days, even in one of our neighboring countries, namely Afghanistan. I remain more concerned than happy. I remain more worried than joyful. I remain more depressed than merry. I begin to fear what will befall us tomorrow if we allow injustice to continue in our world, even in our neighboring countries. Not long ago, hardly a few months ago, a dictatorial martial regime put aside a democratically elected government in one of our neighboring countries, causing numerous casualties of various types and kinds, even causing casualties to the victims of inhumane torture and fear. Can I be happy on such a day? As I already said, if I could be, I would be deprived of humanity as a whole. I would most certainly be not in a position to claim to be a human being befitting my human birth. India is no doubt, or even more correctly said, the Republic of India is no doubt a founding member of the United Nations organization. The Republic, or India, as a country, she remains not merely a co-member of the United Nations organization, but being thus, she also shares all the responsibilities of her fellow members of the world. She has a duty, both a moral and indeed a legal one, befitting the Charter of the United Nations Organization, or the UN Charter, to act whenever necessary in protection of the very spirit of the UN Charter. Being a signatory to the United Nations organization, she is not justified in disclaiming the responsibility borne, or ought to be borne, by her fellow members, even her neighboring countries, when the people of such countries are victimized. I am aggrieved. Indeed, I am depressed. Indeed, I am even tormented to some extent, if not physically, at least mentally. Not even 48 hours have gone by that I spoke about a very grim and tragic incident which took place shortly longer than 2 decades ago. This was nothing other than an interview between a victim of an evil regime, indeed an evil and inhuman regime, of her then country. This particular woman, a lady, was not to blame for any lack of morality. Even she did not commit any crime befitting the laws of the nations, even the principles laid down by the very UN Charter. Her only fault was that she was wearing a pair of shoes or slippers which had the color white. And that particular regime of her country, I should say country then, began beating her, torturing her, tormenting her, even until her feet began to be covered by red blood, covering those very pair of shoes or slippers which she was wearing. Because according to that regime, she committed an offense, a serious one, by wearing a white pair of shoes, the color white, which was on their flag. If that were the situation, I would be ashamed of myself. Our country, India, has 4 colors on its flags, as you may be pleased to witness yourself, represented by the sash I'm wearing today. The color on the right, which is often on the flag, the top, the very color which is on the top of the flag or on the superior side, if I may use with all due respect, represents self-sacrifice. It is not orange, it is saffron. A symbol that is worn by many of the Indian eremites or hermits since time immemorial. The color white in between, which is now separated by the blue, but I will explain why this is so, represents purity. The color green represents bravery or valor. And the color blue represents loyalty, which is found on the Indian flag, pictured by the wheel of a cart, which was initially founded, or I should say, built by the instruction of our former emperor Ashoka, who is recorded to have reigned over India sometime around 200 BC. For some 2,000 years and longer, we represent something. Ashoka was a very unique character because initially he is alleged to have been a very brutal, cruel, selfish, self-centered prince, who, according to certain historians, even had his brothers and others executed in order to gain the throne. Becoming the king, he declared a war called the War of Kalinga, which, according to historians, was one of the most dreadful wars ever fought on Indian soil. Even in those days when bullets, bombs, cannonballs, and various types of other weaponaries were not known of. He killed too many people, but this brought a very distinct change in his life when he witnessed the bloodshed he caused. He broke into repentance, and he became one of the most humane monarchs in Indian history. In his country, then India, in his capital Pataliputra, currently known as Patna, Bihar, in the state of Bihar, he prohibited even slaughtering of animals. He planted trees so that people journeying could rest under the shadow of those trees. He built hospitals for both human beings and various species of the animal kingdom. And he is definitely known to be the most distinct monarch in Indian history. Can we not become like him? At least can we not try? We may not be as influential and powerful as he was, yet we can play our parts too. That childish kinder rhyme which says, little drops of water, little grains of sand, form the deepest ocean and the enormous land, has its true significance when we, becoming those drops of water and grains of sand, join together fighting against injustice, oppression, inhumanity, within the framework of the laws of the nations, even the UN Charter. I crave leave to wish all of you, despite all this worrying, sad, tragical incidences occurring throughout the world, a solemn Indian Independence Day of this August the 15th of the Gregorian year 2021, on the 75th anniversary of India's first Independence Day. Our Constitution does not prohibit confession of a faith. I myself claim to be a Jewish Christian, even though I was initially born into a I was born into a Hindu family, an Orthodox Brahmin family. But my life was changed by the only true and living God in whom I believe. And he brought me out from utter darkness to his marvelous light. And I crave to share his marvelous light with you all on this very day, this very morning in certain countries, afternoons in certain countries, including our own, evenings in certain countries, and night, or the following morning of a new day in certain other countries. Thank you for watching this video recording, indeed, even this live broadcasting. Jai Hind.